Now, I've got some breaking news to bring you on Sky News this afternoon, in that the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh have received their coronavirus vaccinations, joining, we're told, more than 1 million people now who have been given the jab. Boris Johnson, of course, said yesterday around 1.5 million now, isn't it? This is a highly unusual move by Buckingham Palace, which has commented on private health matters of the Queen and Prince Philip. Let's join our royal correspondent, Rhiannon Mills, on the line now. Afternoon to you, Rhiannon. And as I say, that quite unusual move from the palace.
Oh, it is. It's incredibly unusual. Usually when it comes to medical matters, the palace normally say to us no comment. And certainly ever since we knew that the vaccine was here in the UK, the palace have said that this was a private matter when exactly the couple would receive the vaccination. But they have today confirmed that both the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh have today received their COVID-19 vaccinations. It's also been confirmed to me that these were administered by a household doctor at Windsor Castle. And also, when asked, well, why are you telling us this now? I understand from the palace that they wanted to prevent inaccuracies and further speculation about when exactly they were going to be inoculated. And actually, it was Her Majesty the Queen who decided that she would let it be known that she has had the vaccination. Of course, it was inevitable that as a couple they would receive the vaccine in the early stages of it being rolled out across the country. The Queen, of course, 94 years old, the Duke of Edinburgh, 99 years old, and everything possible has been done to try and shield them, protect them from the virus. Remember, ever since March, when we've, of course, for all starting to get used to the COVID-19 restrictions coming into place, the Queen moved from Buckingham Palace to Windsor Castle. The Duke of Edinburgh, who's been spending so much time in Norfolk, also went to Windsor Castle. And really, pretty much throughout last year, they spent the majority of their time, apart from a short time in Scotland over the summer, they have primarily been there, based at Windsor Castle, and shielded from as many people as possible. So, for example, when the Queen has given her national addresses, when she's recorded things like the Christmas broadcast, only very small numbers of people have been allowed near her to try and protect her from the virus. But yes, it is fascinating that this afternoon the palace, and specifically Her Majesty the Queen, have decided to announce that they have both received the vaccination.
Of course, they were always going to get the vaccination, weren't they? Both of them being in the priority group, the highest priority group, over 90.
That's right, but I think, as we said before, when it comes to medical matters, for example, in the past few years when Prince Philip has been treated in hospital, the palace have always been very keen to keep the details that they've given us to the minimum. And so I think it is significant that the palace and the Queen have decided that they would confirm today that they have received the vaccination. There was speculation in some of the newspapers a couple of weeks ago, I have to say, primarily, I think, coming from sort of political side, that the Queen would make it be known when she'd had the vaccination. Of course, for those within number 10 and also within the health service, it's significant, it's important to see that Her Majesty the Queen has said, yes, I will have this vaccination. And right throughout this pandemic, that the royal family have been very much setting the example to the rest of the country when it comes to how they've been carrying out their work, so making sure they're wearing face masks at the right time. The Queen, very early on, wearing gloves when people were still allowed to meet with her, and also making sure that they don't break any of the restrictions. So any kind of public engagements had to be scrapped, certainly during those lockdown periods, and instead the Queen having to adapt, like the rest of us, to working from home and getting used to carrying out virtual engagements instead. It's worth saying that actually back in 1957, the Queen broke with protocol when she told the country that Prince Charles and Princess Anne, who were 8 and 6 at the time, had been inoculated against polio. And at the time, that was to try and allay any sort of public concerns about the potential side effects of that vaccine. So I think it is a very powerful message today that the Queen is saying, yes, I've had the vaccine. Yes, my 99-year-old husband has also had the vaccine. When it comes to that public service messaging, saying, look, the vaccine is needed, it's safe if we are going to get through this third lockdown and this wave of the pandemic that we're still facing.
Remind us, quite naturally, we haven't seen the Queen for some time. She and Prince Philip are sheltering, aren't they, at Windsor Castle? Famously, they weren't at their traditional Christmas gathering at Sandringham, of course.
That's right. Like the rest of us, all of their arrangements have had to change over the last 12 months, whether that comes to working or whether that comes to meeting up with the family. And as you said, the usual Christmas gathering at Sandringham, that had to be scrapped. Instead, the Queen and Prince Philip spent Christmas alone together, and within her Christmas message, she delivered that message simply with a picture of Prince Philip alongside her, which I think was kind of sending that message that we were all having to deal with being away from our loved ones at this time of year. And yeah, now that we are into this third national lockdown, again, the royal family are going to continue to do what they can to set the example, and I think try and celebrate the hard work that's going on right across the country. For example, yesterday, Prince William spoke to NHS staff at Homerton University Hospital in Hackney, and he heard for himself the horrors that some of those NHS staff are facing at the moment, the tiredness, the anxiety that they're going through. And actually, Prince William said to those NHS staff that both him and Kate have been talking to their 3 young children about the work that's going on within the NHS and the sacrifices that are having to be made by so many people at this incredibly difficult time.